Okay, we're looking at a lab safety review that I'm calling Bear Squared. We're going to use this mnemonic device throughout the review to help you review some of the more important key issues in lab safety. It's only meant as a chemistry lab review of safety features. It is not meant to replace a full-fledged, fully detailed lecture in chemical lab safety. So use it as a review and use it as a quick review. In chemistry labs, danger can come from a variety of sources, be it Labrador retrievers running around without safety goggles, teachers playing with fire, students adoring green Erlenmeyer flasks full of food coloring. There are a lot of things that can go wrong in a chemistry lab, but you can help prevent that, first of all, with the B in Bear, your behavior. And you're responsible for your behavior in lab as well as your lab partner's behavior. So to help you with that, you need to be alert at all times. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the lab, be aware of what's coming next. In this photograph, these two lab partners are not being very alert of the fact that they're heating something, that they're in a chemistry lab, and that there are people around you. So do avoid being either of these sad lab partners and be more careful than these people. And you can do that by behaving professionally at all times. Don't have food in lab, ever. Don't do unauthorized experiments, even if they involve fire and look like they might be fun, because that's considered horseplay. And no matter how cute the horse is, we do not play with them in lab. So that's the B in Bear. The E in Bear stands for equipment. And what is the most important safety equipment in the lab? Yes, 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 yes. It could be your brain, I agree. It should be your brain, because without that, all the rest of this isn't possible. But here I'm talking about safety equipment. And your first line of safety equipment is the stuff you put on your body to be safe in lab, and that would be safety splash goggles. And we wear aprons. The chemistry avatar here from the American Chemical Society, he's wearing a lab coat that doesn't even cover his chest. So even though he's the head of American Chemical Society, he's not being very safe. You should be safer than that. There is safety equipment also in the room for large problems that might occur in lab. And it's usually red in color, and for the most part you're fairly familiar with it, but you do need to know where it is. You need to know how to access it and how to use it should the need arise. And the need that most people think of immediately is fire. And most of the time we want things to be on fire in the lab. We want candles burning, we want Bunsen burners, but sometimes perhaps a fire could get out of control or happen where we don't expect it. And yes, you're right, in that case you would use a fire extinguisher, so it does help to know where they are and how to use one. And you should not, however, be tempted to use your plastic wash bottles. They just aren't going to quite cut it and put out a fire. Fires could get even worse and catch a person on fire. Now, I've never had a student catch on fire in lab, but should they happen, yes, we do have fire blankets available, and you should use a fire blanket correctly. The photo below is the incorrect way to use a fire blanket because it will not help flames from burning upward and taking off all of one's nice facial features. So instead we use the burrito method. In the burrito method, the person on fire is made to lie down, and you take the fire blanket and you put it around them and wrap them up tightly and pat them down like a very nice foil wrapped burrito. And that does save them much nicer than keeping them upright and wrapping them up. Other equipment in the room is to help you with chemical spills, and chemical spills fall somewhere in between coffee spilling and a full-on decontamination unit. And spills, your first line of defense are the aprons and goggles that you're wearing. And even baristas at Starbucks wear aprons, but however, they don't use goggles. And this barista figured out that she should be wearing goggles and would help with the steam and the splashes from all those mocha latte frappuccinos that happen. And because one does want to avoid things getting in the eyes and causing pain, meltdown, etc. Should something actually get in your eye, we do have an eye wash station as well as a shower in the back of the room. Know where these are and know how to use them. The body wash in the back can be used for eyes. It can also be used to decontaminate yourself with chemicals. However, it should not be used for spontaneous showering with friends and lab partners. Keep the body washing private. The A in Bear stands for apparatus. So anything that we use in lab, we're going to call under this heading apparatus. Know the name and the proper functions of everything you want to use in lab. Don't just call everything a beaker, even if it's not a beaker or a cup. That doesn't quite work. And be aware that glassware can be a bit tricky. Hot glass and cold glass, look exactly alike. One just hurts a lot more to pick up. So be careful with glass and sort of approach it cautiously until you know that it can be picked up. Never ever heat or use chipped or cracked glass in a heating situation. The glass can go and break in a more spectacular fashion, which you don't really want to happen. And you should know that dirty glassware can influence the reactions you want and create reactions that you don't want or that shouldn't happen. And so it's your responsibility to make sure that the glassware you use and that you put away are as clean as possible. Chemicals, alias reagents are also part of the apparatus that we use, and please read all labels. Be sure that the chemical you think you are using is the chemical that you are using. If it's not labeled correctly or you can't read the writing on it, please ask for help. And if a chemical spills, reagent spills, what do? You get me. You're not to touch it, you're not to clean it up. That's my responsibility in the lab, and your responsibility is to make it my responsibility. So remember, don't go after spills yourself. And the final R, 2 R's in fact, in BEAR, is to read and be ready. You should read the lab thoroughly, write it up well, and be ready to do it. That means being aware of things like calcium carbonate, sulfuric acid, know their formulas, know what you're using in lab and what their symbols are, and be dressed appropriately. And make sure that your lab partner is, and you have discussed the lab and who's going to do what. And so in the end, we can clean it all up. And to review, in BEAR, you have to worry about your behavior and your lab partner's behavior. Make sure it's professional. You need to know where your equipment is, be wearing your equipment, know how to use the bigger equipment in the room that's important. Know what the apparatus is in the room, whether it be chemicals to chemical equipment, and know its name, know how to use it. And read the labs and be ready to do them quite well, because we don't want our lab to look like this acid-drenched lab over here on the right of the picture. And finally, if you really, really must sing the Barney song in order to have enough energy to clean up, go ahead and sing the Barney song. Just don't sing it too loud.